live and direct from the new planet Earth. Where pandemics are plenty, but the girls are still pretty in fashionable dresses. You know what I'm talking about. Where ignorance is bliss. You ain't gotta give a damn about no code.
Tell me who unleashed our animal instinct. Why the op standing there tickle pink? Have a drink, walking them up liquor. Shot of poison, one thicker. Somebody got some explaining to do. And the classic man is a danger to you. And me too, tatted on my forehead. Go home, go to bed. Yeah, I dread something we get this way come. When the family unit is overrun. When the structure is undone. Some new concoction. Now I walk softly and carry a big stick. Original gorilla in the midst.
Welcome back to another edition of the Franchise Podcast. I'm Joe Arrigo. With me is this man, my brother TQ.
Praying and hustling, baby. What's up? It's your boy. We back in the building. What you been doing, man? You are UNLV'd out. It must be spring again.
Springtime, Easter time, great weekend. We got to talk about the Lakers, brother.
Hey,
we got to
man.
talk about the Lakers in this playoffs.
They've been holding the headlines for the last couple of episodes.
I love it.
Listen. We've been saying it. We approach the play-in now. Mm-hmm. We are up against some wounded animals.
Self-inflicted wounds.
We got animals up in the great Midwest. Is that what you would call it? That's the Midwest,
It's
right?
Minnesota, it's Midwest, yeah.
I mean, I got to get it from the authority, you know what I'm saying? But these wild wolves have been biting themselves lately. And they got to see LeBron James, a healthy Anthony Davis,
D'Angelo Russell.
all the new boys come this
Hoochie
week.
Mama.
It's the play-in game. It takes one game. I'm not worried about this in the least bit. LeBron James is not letting anybody send him home.
You know, the thing I find interesting about this game is there's a lot of factors. So you look at Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell came from Minnesota.
Yes.
But earlier in the season, beginning of the year, not last offseason, Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt played with Minnesota.
They did.
So there's a revenge factor.
Yes.
Beasley's playing better now.
He is.
So I think he's kind of found his groove, a lot like Rui Hachimura has.
Hachimura, man.
Whatever, Hoochie Mama, whatever.
Why do you
So-
mess this man's name?
I
I
just-
think you're doing it on purpose.
Me?
Absolutely
On
think
purpose?
you're doing
For
it
the
on
camera?
purpose. Listen,
No.
Man's been balling. All right? He's absolutely fit in his role. I think the more time he gets, the better the team plays overall. I don't know his plus-minus numbers, but I would bet that he's well where he's supposed to be as far as his addition for this team. I think he's an X factor. I think he's a matchup problem. And Darvin Ham having him, plus these other pieces all put together for 7 games, any and everybody's going to have a problem with the Lakers.
Here's the thing. The Lakers also added another piece over the weekend.
They did. 2
Tristan
pieces.
Thompson and I forget the other dude.
Shaquille something.
Hilton or something like
can't
that.
think of his name either.
But Tristan Thompson's the big one. You know, another
Yeah.
big that can spell Anthony Davis
Yes.
and help Mo Bamba as well.
Yes.
Now that Mo is back. So the Lakers.
With playoff experience.
yes.
With playoff experience.
Championship experience.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I know people could joke about all he wants about Mr. Kardashian and whatever. This has been a long time coming because he's been around a lot of Laker games and you know throughout the season.
Yeah, and I mean, he's always been a good teammate for LeBron.
Fits.
They fit each other. LeBron respects what he brings to the table, respects his. Tristan Thompson has got a basketball brain, man. Like, he really fits.
Well, ain't no brain that messes with women.
Yo, look, you deal with the off-the-field stuff, off-the-court stuff. I ain't into all that. I'm talking about what's happening on the court. You know what I'm saying?
But that affects the court.
He knows the game. Listen, man, we need the man for a couple of months, all right? Man, we ain't TMZ in this, right? We're going to keep this to basketball. He's a good addition. He knows what we're getting ready to get into. He's been deep in it. He's won championship. And, you know, it's just, I feel like the organizations that are at the top and see the top frequently, they do it for a reason. And even when it's bad times, it's peaks and valleys with everything, but they persevere because they know how to win.
True.
The best run sports teams, franchises, also are the ones that win most of the time. It goes hand in hand. The Lakers are that.
The Lakers, after post-trade deadline, were 11 out of 13. I put themselves in a position where, I mean, aside from, I believe, a Dallas and Houston game, or I've been Houston and somebody where they literally choked. They should have won those games.
Right.
The Lakers could have been the 5th seed.
Right.
But the 7th seed playing against a Timberwolves team, which you have a player punching a wall, breaking, fracturing 2
A
knuckles.
very important player in this matchup.
And then Rudy,
Fracturing his hand.
really,
Yeah.
And then Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson fighting on the sideline. Rudy Gobert gets suspended for a game, which is this game.
Yeah. It's gonna be rough on them defensively now.
And
they lost 2 big pieces of defense that would have helped them in this playing game against the Lakers, particularly.
Did you
They
hear
did it to themselves.
the audio of after the fight in the locker room?
I didn't.
Kyle Anderson basically kept referring to Rudy Gobert as a B word and said that the team's going to have a decision to make this offseason.
Oh.
So this is a team that's imploding from the inside out. It bodes well for the Lakers. And just go back to a Friday ago, the Lakers were down big in Minnesota.
Sure were.
AD goes down, and then they go on a run
Right.
and come back and beat Minnesota handily.
Yes.
And, I think that gave the Lakers a little, and that's with LeBron shooting terrible, too. LeBron had a horrible, as Bill Walton would say, type game. You know what I mean?
Did.
So at the end of the day, when I see this Laker team, I'm pretty excited about where they're at. And, and if I'm going to look ahead and look at the Memphis series, right? I really like them against Memphis because I think Memphis is a little too cocky. I don't know if you've seen him walk out yesterday, dude with his hair pressed and acting like he's boy eating a banana from from the movie. What movie was that? Not Medicine Society.
Belly.
Belly, yeah. He acting like he's came
Man,
from
listen,
Belly. Like,
I don't mind the Grizzlies, bro. I don't mind it. They smelling themselves. They're a young team. They just, they swagged out. They represent this generation. They gonna talk trash. It's not a problem. I think that it's just such a collection of that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? On one squad, they just want all the smoke. So if the Lakers get past this game, they are going to have the smokiest possibility.
Oh, man.
They're going to have a full-on cigar bar coming to Memphis shortly. So
I'll put
you
this
want
up.
the smoke, you will have it.
that would be the Uncle Shay series.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get Uncle Shannon Sharp out there. Shannon, I'm going to talk to you for a minute. Shannon, Mr. Sharp, your brother does not have a bigger fan than me. Greatest receiver ever. I don't care what anybody says, even the man next to me. But Shannon, we need you to come on with us to talk about the Lakers and Grizzlies series. You want to hear from Uncle Shay himself. Holler at us.
I approve the second half of that message. I ain't rocking with the first half. What's next?
Man, what's next? I want to celebrate.
What you celebrate?
I'm celebrating this.
Oh, that's how you whip somebody's
Man.
Oh, man.
Let me ask you this. So I was watching the fight, and I was watching it, and my stream was delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
Kalani Lua was in the room next to me watching the
You
fight.
stealing cable from next door?
Can I confirm or deny what I was doing watching the fight?
Don't be trash. Don't be trash.
But I'm in my room watching the fight, and my window's open because Saturday in Vegas was a beautiful day.
The one beautiful day.
Yes, it was like you could have your windows
Period.
open all day. It was
gorgeous.
Yes.
It's a wrap. It's gone. It's hot
All of a
as hell
sudden,
right now.
I hear like 3 or 4 houses down, like streets,
People screaming.
screaming, yeah, ooh, ah. And I'm like, literally, what's going to happen? And I see Izzy. I see it have Izzy lined up, and he's just, wah, wah. And then Izzy throw that overhand right, wah. And it backed him up. And I said, ooh. And then he hit him with the next one. He was out on his feet. And I said, and then with the celebration, I said, that's how you win. That's how you celebrate. And to me,
Was he not out off the first hit though?
No, he was up. It looked like he was trying
Kind
to.
of seemed like he was on his way night. Anyway.
Oh, he was on his way, 100%.
Yeah,
but I go back to knockouts in UFC, and early in the year there was one that Leon had to win the title, which caught everybody by surprise. This was better than that.
Why? Because of the backstory? Because of the
backstory, the
celebration,
And the fact that it was almost like he gave him the old rope-a-dope. Like, he literally was letting him, like, because in the first fight, he had him. And in the first round. And he was saved by the bell, essentially. And then it looked like in the last round, when Izzy got knocked out by him, right? Yeah. Izzy was trying to go for the knockout versus playing smart. If he played smart, he wins that fight too. But he didn't want that. He got what he wanted, and then the message afterwards.
Yeah, that was great.
That was, man, like, Izzy's one of my favorite fighters already. But to me, that was the best knockout I've seen. And I've been watching UFC since probably 2008. It's the best knockout I've seen since 2008, since I started watching it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm first one to tell you, I'm not so much of a UFC guy. I'm a boxing guy. That's what I'm into. But because of Kalani and Griff and you guys, you know what I'm saying, they get me going on it. And
the main event.
And the one thing that really just brought me my level a little bit higher as far as respect for the organization itself was how they handled it over COVID.
Yeah.
Like, it was nothing happening, man. It was nothing to entertain us. And UFC got us through. I watched more fights during that time than I watched before that or since then. You know what I'm saying?
Hell of a marketing technique by Dana White.
Good job. Good job for them. But yeah, I did see the knockout. The knockout was crazy. It was a counter. It's one of them things, like you said, where he used his leverage against him. And I feel like that first smack, if he would have just stopped, I think my man would have been stumbling back the other way for a while.
But there was punishment. He had to. What did Mr. T talk about in Rocky? Well, Rocky 3, pain. He had to give him pain.
Beat him up, huh?
Oh yeah, and so that got me thinking. Before, in pre-show we kind of were just talking about it in our group message, like knockout wise, UFC wise, there's a few, but just knockouts in general. It brought me back to the days growing up of I think in our generation, the greatest knockout artist ever, Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
And watching a Mike fight back in the 80s and early 90s, it was really the 80s, because early 90s was a different Mike. And I think he would even say that. But early 80s, watching a Mike Tyson fight was must-see TV, and you only had to watch for 5 minutes because it was going to be over.
Yeah, real talk.
I mean, he'd come in, and next thing you know,
that's it.
And it's, okay, he's knocked out.
It's surviving. Guys were so scared. You just see it in their eyes. They just did not want to go get hit with that. And psychologically, so many of them came in the ring already beat.
Yeah.
They was already beat. So, like, when it comes down to, I look at Mike Tyson as the Shaquille O'Neal of boxing.
Okay.
Nobody dominated at the top of their career. I mean, dominated, punished people, and took their souls out of them like Mike Tyson did. I watched Allen Iverson one time. I think it was during the finals. It was during the finals. And this is a warrior.
Yeah.
Shaq had him messed up. He was just basically, I'm paraphrasing, he was just sitting there like, man, they got Shaq, man. Can't do nothing with Shaq.
Can't do the big fella.
They got the big fella. They got Shaq. And it's the same. Mike did people just like that, where you can even try your best effort. You beat in training camp because of what you done seen him do to people already. It makes you feel like, so you look at, I think George Foreman instilled that type of fear into people.
You
right?
do? You think Foreman did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Until,
interesting.
yeah, for a while, I think if I'm listening to my dad and them talk, listen to the older cats talk, the one person that wasn't afraid of him because of what he was doing to everybody else was the person that ended up beating him, right? Mike beat himself. Mike beat himself because he didn't take care of himself. He stopped the training, he got rich, started drinking, started smoking, and the knockout, I feel, if we're talking about the greatest knockouts in boxing.
Yeah, let's talk about the greatest knockouts. What's yours?
Mike getting knocked out by Buster Douglas.
Oh, you think so?
Shook the whole world. Nobody
in the
world could have expected that. That was the biggest upset in history that I can remember in any sport, maybe other than soccer. That shot heard around the world.
So I remember that it was, in 90?
Something like that. Snow was in Tokyo.
And I remember
Japan somewhere.
My homeboy was spending the night at my house. We were watching the fight. And after I got like second round, I'm like, man, the fight's still going on. I'm like, all right, Mike, come on, stop playing with him.
Yeah.
When he knocked him out, I was completely shocked.
Everybody was.
And then I remember Don King, and then the guy, I think his name's John. He was Don King's like mentee, but he was also a manager. Taller cat, had a little fade with waves. Well, anyway, they said that the count was sped up.
Yeah.
And then it was like a big controversy. And I woke up the next day thinking, this didn't happen. And it's the front page of everything.
Everybody was thinking it might have been reversed.
Yeah, it would be a reverse decision.
I do remember that. Nope.
And I was like, what the hell? So
but it's just one of them things, man. It's like, I think if you're talking about great knockouts, yeah, it's the technique and all that, but what about the weight that came behind it, or the circumstances? Like, Mike Tyson was unstoppable at the time. Like, anybody our age can remember how ridiculous he just ran through the heavyweight division. Like, I mean,
yeah.
And then for this guy, and you had to be a real boxing aficionado at that time to even know who Buster Douglas was. Or why he got the shot, you know what I'm saying? We didn't know who the hell that was. We thought it was just
I heard his name was Buster, and I'm like, am I gonna whoop his butt? His name's Buster.
We just thought he was gonna walk through him, right? But didn't happen that way. And I mean, Mike was looking for his mouthpiece, wasn't he?
He did. He put it in his mouth, and he went back down.
Yeah, so it wasn't no games played. Like, he really gave him a shot that messed him up, and we didn't expect to see that.
I think that there was the aura of invincibility that he once had was like, it actually happened. Yeah. Like, and it wasn't when you played Mike Tyson's Punch Out and you typed in 0073735963. Yeah, I remember that because I would put that code in and I would whoop up on Mike and Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Like, and then a man with Little Mac, which, I mean, that's still one of the best video games ever too.
Yeah, that was great.
But
when you finally beat it, you was just a happy
man,
like running to the neighbor. I won. Oh man.
But great. I think, not to live in outside the month, but like the new George Foreman movie's coming out.
Yeah.
And I remember when he beat Michael Moore.
Yeah.
And he hit him with that. He just standing there and he just with a slow left hand.
Oh my goodness.
Right in his
loud
chin.
though. Ooh.
Yeah, and it's like Moore just folded.
Yeah, he did.
Like this dude's old enough to be my dad, and he not got a guy that's old enough to be my brother. Like, are you kidding me?
Hey, that's a big deal. That was a big deal.
HBO was the lick back in the day.
It
with
sure
that.
was, man. Every couple of weeks it had some kind of blockbuster joint going. I remember that. I missed them days, man.
So, we're staying on boxing. We got some stuff coming up. We have the Tank Garcia fight coming up.
Yes.
Like that, I'm looking forward to this for a variety of reasons. Ryan Garcia, I mean, he's local. Yes. Vegas guy. Yes. And there's a lot of trash talking. I like that.
For sure.
But Tank is different. Garcia has the reach. He's got the size. But, you call him Tank for a reason.
Yeah. I think this fight is all about, I think Tank has to be focused. He has to make sure that, leading up to a fight, there's a lot of promotion that goes on with what's coming out of people's mouths, right? Yeah. So you never know what it's funny. I had asked Showtime Sean this same question when we had done a show together about, what's the line between what a boxer really believes about his opponent and what he's saying he believes about him, right? This is going to be his biggest test yet. I'm taking him. I believe he's going to win the fight.
Who, Tank?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe Tank's going to win the fight. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think it'll be a decision. I think it's going all the way. And he's just got to be him, first and foremost. If he just comes in with his mind right, fights his fight what's got him here, he can beat anybody. That's my belief.
I don't disagree with you. I like Tank. I like him late in the knockout.
Really?
Yeah. Every time someone doubts him, like you seen him in the last fight, he's taking his time with the guy, and it's almost like he looks over at his mom and looks at Floyd, and he's just like, all right, let me go ahead and just do this now. Wow. But I am a little worried. I'm a little worried a little early. If it's early, Garcia, I think, has a good shot. But I like Tank late. But where do you think Tank is pound for pound? Because we look at him and Shakur Stevenson, and who had a great fight last week, by the way.
Yeah, those are they're two of my favorites, I will say. But I just got to I can't answer this question until Bud and Errol Spence, man.
Yeah.
It's like we can't even talk about pound for pound until that happens. Like that has to happen, and it can't happen when they old men.
So let me point this out to
you. This is Pacquiao Floyd all over again. We don't want to deal with this. We need to see this now so that we can answer this question.
So I got promotion for the main event. On the main event, the week of the Garcia Tank fight, Big Ant from the Porterway Pod in the FSM Prep Rally tells you why that fight hasn't happened.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
Oh, we got.
You didn't even know that, huh?
No,
Yeah,
didn't
see?
know that.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, good. That's
yeah,
good.
so he gives you a little insight on why that fight hasn't taken
tuning
place.
in for that, for sure.
So make sure you guys tune in to the main event when that next week.
Next week, right?
Yes, the week of the fight. I never asked you this. I'm gonna take Tyson out because he's different for our generation.
Okay.
Who was your favorite boxer ever?
That I was able to watch myself?
Yeah, we can't say Muhammad Ali. We can't, God bless the whole Ali family.
Well, bro, I had
Rashida,
so
everybody.
much stuff on VCR. I remember between my dad and Big Man, bro. I watched so many old fights. The best I ever seen, that I've ever seen in a ring, I'm not saying personally, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay, but I'm talking about you. Okay,
so in my lifetime, my favorite,
that's
Roy
what I'm
Jones.
asking. Really?
It was Roy Jones. Yeah, it was Roy Jones. I was being from Alabama. A lot of times, Roy would fight down on the Gulf in his area, and then Big Man was a pro before he started doing security for me. So we would go to a lot of fights between Pensacola, Biloxi, and all that. Roy Jones, man. The perfect mix between speed, technique, and power.
Yeah.
I mean, just Roy would go in the first couple of rounds, he's just figuring out what he already knows. Him and his dad had like this kind of, I don't know, man, it was like they could just break the opponent down. And Roy had every tool in the box to attack whatever your weakness was. Wherever you made a mistake, he's gonna watch that, put it in his head, and he's gonna come back to it later. And I watched him do it over and over and over again. What, in 3 different divisions? Or
4? I know for sure 3.
Yeah, so like, just me watching, that's the person I've seen fight live the most. And that's my guy for my generation. Right behind him, Floyd Mayweather.
So I think for me, my grandfather was a Golden Gloves boxer. So like Tuesday night fights, Wednesday night fights on USA, that was a household.
Y'all
we
did
watched
that.
it. He would grab his little beer nuts
and
his drink or whatever he was eating, and we watched fights. To me, my favorite all-time fighter, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Oh yeah, he was a beast.
Just everything. He was Floyd before Floyd.
Yeah, he was.
You know, it's a left-handed version, master of not getting hit, but he had punching power.
Yeah, he did.
And he'd catch you sleeping.
Yes.
The De La Hoya fight, that upset me more than anything because he had him beat.
Yeah, he did.
He beat him.
He beat him.
And I don't want to hear anything about it.
He absolutely beat him.
You know, but tragically passed away in a motorcycle accident some years ago. Yeah. Way too young. But like, Whitaker to me was almost like the perfect fighter. He was one of those guys in that mix.
Yeah.
I like Jones a lot. I love Floyd. I may be one of the few people that can say I love watching Floyd, his whole style, because I love counter punching. I love being defense. I love the footwork and being able you're not going to hit me. And my job is just tag you. I'm just going to punish you and punish you and punish you. Call it a day.
And then the bottom line is you ain't lose.
No, 50-0.
When you ain't lose and you call yourself the GOAT, everybody else just got to shut up.
For real.
At the end of the day. I mean, so.
And he fought everybody at some point.
Yeah, I mean, he fought people late. I feel like later. I feel like he could have fought some fights, had some fights earlier. But at the same time, if you just go down the list of his opponents, he beat all of them. It's a who's who of anybody possible to beat when he was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He ain't ducked nobody at the end of the day.
Another guy that doesn't get a lot of love, but I like him just from my neck of the woods, Shane Mosley, Sugar Shane.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I tell you, it was cool hanging out with him a couple weeks ago, with like hearing his introspective with the
with the fight with Benavidez and
Plant. Yeah. So like, I mean, like I mean, I like Shane a lot. He's a good dude, you know.
Yeah.
Sugar, you know.
Shane thrilled us, man. It's funny how, you know, it's like everybody had their kryptonite.
Yeah.
Everybody had their kryptonite except Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Floyd didn't have no kryptonite, but everybody else did. You know, it's like Shane had his guy that he couldn't get. Who was it? Was it Tarver? Who was it? It was somebody that Shane kept losing to.
Oh man, who was it?
I think it was Tarver. I think it was
Antonio Tarver?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Felix Trinidad could beat up everybody except for one guy. You know what I'm saying? It's always, that's just the way it goes in boxing, man, because styles make the matchups. They say the styles make the fights. And sometimes you just get in there with somebody that exploits your weakness. Everybody's got a weakness. Ain't nothing you can do about it. You can beat them in every other aspect except for that one aspect, and they attack that, and you lose.
Before pay-per-view, do you remember ABC Saturday afternoons? You
yeah,
had Leonard and Hagler fighting on there.
Man.
Like, that was Leonard Duran.
My
like,
goodness.
no mas.
Wide World of Sports. Howard Cosell.
That was one of the best things to watch on a weekend.
And you know what frustrates me about boxing though? Like we've been on here, we've been listing all of these names. Look at the talent that's out there now.
We're not naming them.
But it's enough great fighters out there to have way more great fights than we have. So like, what is the disconnect? Like, why does UFC do it so well based on the talent, right? If they don't have the talent, they don't have a sport.
Right.
And boxing does it so poorly. Is it just that it's not a unified front? Is it because you're not gonna tell me that people are not interested in it no more? Because they are. And
you
not,
know,
even if there was a time where you felt like it was a lull in the action because the talent wasn't there, that time is over.
Yeah, you know, I think that's part of it. I think the other thing is, and we hear this a lot in what we do, in not just sports media, but in entertainment. Got a lot of old heads running it. Trying to run things the old way versus seeing things now. What made those matchups great back in the day was they wanted to fight each other.
Yeah.
Hagler and Leonard wanted to fight each other, make the fight.
Yeah.
Like there was no like ducking, like, oh well, let's do these 3 fights and the last one is when. No, these guys are getting after it. Where nowadays,
but still though, Don King and Bob Arum, they was making them fights. Or they wasn't gonna happen. So what is the difference now? What is, like, why is it not, are you saying that the downfall of boxing has been because the competitors don't want to compete with each other?
No, I'm saying.
What are you saying?
I'm saying the downfall of boxing is a lot like some other sports that aren't progressing and trying to do things like
AKA baseball, that's what you're saying.
Baseball, horse racing, you can't do too much in that. Okay. Sports that are traditionally sports that men would want to watch because of especially boxing, the gladiator mentality. Yeah. It's kind of stayed stagnant and it hasn't moved forward. Where you have UFC, which moves forward.
So that's what I'm saying. What is the difference? Why is it being marked?
A younger guy running it versus older guys, and it's unfortunate because look, you got Bob Arum and Al Heyman. Mm-hmm. Those guys are phenomenal. Those guys are great. They put out. But who's a young guy doing it now?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
There's one, I don't know his name.
Well, I don't know his name either.
We know Dana White's name.
Okay, that's my point right there.
Good point.
So
boxing gonna have to catch up, man, because we talking about Spence and Bud. How old are they now? Getting up there.
Yeah.
Right. So like we got to take advantage of the blood while it's here, man. Like Stevenson is a dog.
I love that. He may be my favorite fighter right now. To be honest,
he's a dog, bro. Like. We see what Benavidez did.
And that's another one of my man.
I mean, Canelo got the staying power. So it's like, it's just a lot of them out there right now, man. I just feel like.
And Benavidez's brother, Jose, is another one.
Yes. It's a lot of talent in boxing right now. And I just feel like it should be events back to back to back to back.
Every week.
Constantly.
Every week.
At least every 2 weeks. You should have 2 big fights a month. At least.
We get 2 big UFC fights a month. You stagger them. Boxing, UFC, boxing, UFC.
Come on, man. Let's figure it out, man.
They can hire us to do it. We can help.
Better believe it.
Small fee. Small. Not like everybody else. Small fee. Speaking of older guys, right? I want to talk about somebody that is 58 years old. And what got me thinking about it is Mr. Fab was something on IG. It came across my stories. And he was talking about Too Short, someone that you know well, I grew up listening to. And he brought up some points that Too Short's been rapping since 1982. He's 58 years old.
Yeah.
He went platinum, was selling only 8,000 records on the East Coast.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Put the Bay on the map, went down to Atlanta, or he also found Kid Rock. Didn't know? Yes.
For real?
He found Kid Rock, went down to Atlanta, found Little John, signed him, and then when John got a major deal, let him out of his deal to go do that and help create crunk music. Did songs with Tupac, Biggie, also stuff, you know, Outkast, did stuff with Little John, of course. Like, Short doesn't, and I'm gonna put something else. Oh yeah, this guy right here too. I forgot about this guy right here.
Please believe it.
But
leave me out, homeboy. What's wrong with you?
but then also, you know, like was one of the guys that found Jazzy Face. So, ironically, everybody this guy's worked with except for Biggie. So,
yeah,
but
it's pretty deep.
you know, but like I think, and he said Too Short may be the most underappreciated rapper in the history of hip hop. And he asks it because he doesn't say, "Oh, I'm the greatest ever." He's never said it. So I think it's an interesting topic considering you work with him, and you got a great story that I would love for you to tell everybody out there about Short and your sister, the song, not Cluck.
Well, I mean, first of all, I cut my teeth in music in the Bay. When I met Mike Mosley, who had produced some records for Too Short at the time, he was like, man, let's just go to the Bay and work. You know what I'm saying? Just let's hit the studio because everybody need hooks. You write hooks, and I see the kind of, Mike was like, I see the kind of music you want to do as opposed to the type of music that these record companies are trying to make you do. You could do what you want working with the rappers.
Right.
Right? But he was from the Bay, and he had his foothold in the Bay. So we just ride up there, man, like every other week, and just get in the studio with them cats up there. And there's a reason why Too Short only had to sell 8,000 records on the East Coast. Like, there was a method of selling independent records in the Bay that no other part of the country had, including LA. Hustling up there doing music as opposed to LA, it was like night and day. It was like two different countries, let alone two different states, and it's in the same state. I couldn't believe how many cats who I had just vaguely heard of just because of just being a real West Coast music head, but going up there and working with them, just seeing how they living, seeing the type of facilities, the studios, the type of ownership that these dudes got. So many times I'm watching dudes go to the door at the studio, receiving boxes, right, from the manufacturer, where it's full of CDs that they selling themselves. I'm a young buck at this time. I don't know the process of selling records at this time. But it's like, Short pioneered all of that. It's like, I'm gonna own myself. I'm gonna sell to my people. I'm gonna get in good with the DJs. I'm gonna get in good with the strip clubs. I'm gonna get in good with the radio stations. And he started that early. That was the beginning. That's where, that was the foundation for the No Limits and the Cash Moneys and all of the distributed and even non-distributed independent labels that would come later. All that came from the Bay, man. Selling records out of the trunk to people who just had that was the way that they got their music up there. You know what I'm saying? That's the way they expected to get their music up there. And those artists was able to just take that fan base and just monetize it over and over and over and over again. Remember the first time I met 40 explained the type of deal that he had. And it was like, that's what was so great about going to the Bay to work. I was so much younger than them, and I could just listen to game, right? on how they structured and kept their ownership. So Short has kept ownership of all of his stuff for so long. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that to be that age and to still be relevant, not only relevant, but literally one of the pioneers. And no, he don't get the respect, but you don't need the respect because you're constantly making your skrill off of your name. You own it. Most of the cats that are in the position to give you respect or that you may want or people think you want respect from, they don't own themselves.
True.
You know what I'm
Very
saying?
true.
They're not their own bosses. You know what I'm saying? You could be the biggest artist in the world. Most of them, they don't own anything. They own a piece of their likeness. They own a piece of their performance. And that's it. Short owns everything Short. You get what I'm saying? So that is a testament, number one, to the Bay, because it's not just Short. That's a whole region of the country that means a lot to hip hop.
Yes.
That doesn't get its respect.
True.
You know, it's always gonna be props to New York for starting it and LA for the sheer size of the place, right? It's in Hollywood, so naturally artists with access to Hollywood are gonna be able to get huge.
Yeah.
It wasn't no Hollywood in the Bay. The Bay did it off of themselves and the people that live there that rock with the music that they produce, and they still doing it like that. And that goes from San Quinn, Messy Marv, to all the way back to Mac Dre, to, I mean,
Selly Cell.
all of these dudes,
Spice
man, RBL,
One.
Posse, like, I done worked with so many of them, dude, and it just taught me that, man, you can sell records for your whole life if you cultivate your audience. Give your audience what they like to hear, do it on a consistent basis, and they'll rock with you. You just got to stay in their face. So I look at myself, I'm getting ready to drop a record soon. I'm gonna drop this record to the same people I've been dropping records to for 25 years. It ain't necessarily about no more than that. If it bleeds past them, fine. But what you're supposed to do in this game to survive as an independent, you're supposed to cultivate your audience.
Right.
So for somebody like Short, I bet you he got fans that he been knowing for 35, 40 years.
Let's go back to like even 4 or 5 years ago. Not even that, to 2020. Sweetie came out with a song that she sampled, "Blow the Whistle."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Drake came out with one too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
so you come out to like Short, and then again you had them back on They Never Saw Me Coming.
Yeah.
And the story is hilarious, and I think it's time for the world to know the story about Too Short. And
look, man, the name of the song was Your Sister. It was a completely vulgar song. All right, this was
my favorite song on the album.
It was back in the days when I was a knucklehead, right? So I made some knucklehead songs, had a knucklehead album, and this was probably the most knucklehead of the songs. And Too Short rapped on the song for me, and it was a trip how like a lot of these cats that I've been working with in the first place, doing records with them, when it was time to do a record with me, they blessed me. You know what I'm saying? They did it. And so, man, Short sent the record back. He had done it in the Bay. I was working in LA. We were so excited to hear the record, man. As soon as he sent it, we pull it up in the studio. He rocks the part. The song goes off. And we all looking at each other like, he didn't say the word, bro. He did not say the word.
What word is that?
What's his favorite word? I mean, why they want him to say it like Short? Huh? I mean, why they trying to play on my court? So, I mean, look, man, I say, damn. The man got to say the word on the record. I cannot have Too Short on my record and he don't say the word. And so we had to hit him back. I had to ask him, man, would you please just throw the word on the end of the song?
How did he react to that?
I think he was like, oh damn, I ain't say it. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. It's been so long ago. It was something to that effect. But he did it. He did it. He recorded and put it at the end. And I'm like, all right, we complete now. We can drop. We ready. So yeah, shouts out to Short Dog. I mean, look, hip hop owes you a debt of gratitude, man. And real talk, he does not get his due. And when you brought this subject up, I thought we was in left field, and then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, damn, it make a lot of sense. And the fact that the man is 58 years old. So I want to give a shout out to all the old cats. Y'all certified old, because we certified old. So if we are, y'all definitely are. Man, I went to go see the Red Hot Chili Peppers last week, man. Bruh, when I tell you these dudes 60 years old, man, they took their shirts off, they jumped up and down, they climbed stuff, for an hour and a half straight, all energy. Sounded great, played great. So, man, when you are first given a gift of that level, but then are able to sustain that gift for this amount of time, well into your late 50s and 60s, I mean, man, hats off to you. You know what I'm saying? And the thing with Short is, like, he's still dropping new music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, man, like, it's hats off, man. Hats off to him.
What's funny is, and I've told you this many times, as many times as your CD got stolen from me, and for the course of, it's just par for the course. If you know TQ, he talks about all the time. Like, everybody,
I always hear this story. People stealing my CDs.
Yes.
From my peoples, man.
Yes.
What's that about? Why don't y'all just go buy an extra one?
I ended up doing that. I bought like 4 of them, and
Good
3 of them got stolen.
I hear that a lot too.
But literally, shout out to my brother DK. Dream and I would be rolling.
Yeah.
We pull up in the car. He had an Acura Integra at the time.
Yeah.
That song would be, your sister would be banging, and all the women be looking, and we're like, we're really gonna live this. young me was way different than what I am now. But
man, that record was bopping the car, man.
Yes.
It knocked. Like,
yes.
Not only was it a good record, but like Mike and them produced the hell out of that album.
Yes.
They did a hell of a job, and like, it was just a good one, man. It was a good one. A lot of people thought, like, man, what are you talking about? Like, are you serious? You think you really gonna do a song like? We was like, yes. Yes, we are.
It's funny. I think Mike did a song with Razkaz where I think he sang the hook on it.
Who did?
Mike.
No way.
I think. I'm about to look in and play for you, but I believe so. Because
ain't no way. Hell no. I disagree.
I'm gonna look.
Yeah, play me that.
I'm gonna find it. If we went to we don't record, I'm gonna find it. I believe
please.
so. Because I'm gonna tell a story. I didn't even talk about this one in pre-show. This is gonna be the last one before we go. So this man comes to the studio.
Oh God, here we go.
And we're talking. And I'm
don't
telling
get us
him,
banned, bro.
no,
Please don't get us banned.
Did I get us banned last week?
Almost.
Okay, so comes to the studio, and at this time, Razkaz was a friend. Raz was out of jail, and he was like, I had to say, hey, like, you know, Squeeze is coming out to the station. He was like, hey, I want to do a song with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna make this happen. So we talk about it.
Yeah.
And you guys did, I think you guys did 2 songs.
Yeah, we did.
The one is off, I think it's Eat or Die, one of his mix CDs.
Yeah.
Is it Anytime or Anywhere or
I forgot the name of that song.
But that knocks
Yeah.
so hard. Like in the hook, like you say the hell out the hook.
And I'd always wanted to work with Raz, cause like I'm just in the rap, man. And Raz is one of the boy. I've seen Raz in enough freestyle sessions to say, okay, mess with that man if you want to. So it was cool. It was cool to get that link.
That was like, and then when he sent me it, he emailed me at the time because there was none of those big ass file that we got coming in. I'm like, I'll be playing this file.
You just gassed up.
And I put that on a little CD. I was driving around town. People were like, hey, what's that? I'm like, nobody got this but me, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, last question, last subject before we get up out of here. Mm-hmm. Last week, the Dallas Mavericks were eliminated from the playoffs going into the final, like second to last game.
Yeah.
And Kyrie and Tim Hardaway Jr. and all of them didn't play.
Right.
And then they said Luka's only playing a quarter, and then we're shutting him down for the year. The league's investigating tampering. How do you feel about that whole situation?
Man, I don't know what to think about the Mavericks, man. I don't know what the point is with the Mavericks. I don't know what direction they're trying to go in. I don't know who they're trying to be. I didn't understand the Kyrie situation. I don't understand this Tank situation. Like what's the point here? What is the point? I don't get it. I've not understood it. But I will say this much. I know one thing about our leagues here in America. There are some real investigation pros. You understand what I'm saying?
Shout out to Man City. You're lucky.
Man, I mean, most of the people in charge of these investigative whatever on these teams, it ain't the first time they've done it at the highest level.
Yeah.
So if it's something to be found, it's going to be found. But just that organization, man, I just feel like, I don't know. I think you got a talent like Luka. Are you wasting him right now?
But see, okay, so it's funny. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. The subject got brought up. And it was like they feel that, like, Luka feels should get treatment he shouldn't get. There's far too many times he doesn't get back on defense because he's too busy trying to complain. Like he's accomplished more. Because remember, he said the NBA is easier to play in and easier to score than playing in Europe.
Well, I mean, when he was playing in Europe, he was playing against grown men. He was a little kid. So, yeah, it probably is easier.
But I'm just saying,
he's a grown man now, at least.
I don't know. Like, there's just people feel like there's far too much complaining. I think what I find interesting is the Lakers were not a playoff team prior to their trades.
Right.
The Mavericks were the number 4 seed. They trade for Kyrie, who we love.
Absolutely.
Love Kyrie.
I mean, Kyrie went there and did what he was supposed to do, though. Did he not?
I mean, he balled.
That's what was he? What did he go there for?
To ball.
Okay. So with Kyrie, for once, Kyrie shouldn't really be a part of this conversation.
Agreed.
When it comes down to what's wrong with
But
Dallas.
no, I'm just going to push back on that. While Kyrie may not be to blame, you give up all those pieces.
Yeah.
Now your team isn't as deep. So when Luka goes down, your team isn't deep. Now that affects your team.
But goes back to my point. I said it when they did it. Why are you trading for Kyrie Irving?
That trade did not make sense.
Did not make sense from the beginning. So that's my pushback on this investigation. Who knows? Because I can't tell you what is going on in the heads of the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what the goal is here. It don't seem like it's about winning a championship. Is it about getting a certain draft pick? Who?
There's a French, they would shooter.
I mean, but how they gonna get him?
Hey, it's a draft lottery. You never know.
Man, come on, man.
Hey,
there's no assurance in
pay enough money to the league. You never know.
But there is a situation. I think the meat of this investigation is based on them having to give a pick to New York.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's more of what the subject is about as opposed to a draft pick.
Well,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Because once again, the investigators are the best in the business. They'll find something.
Thankfully, they're not
They'll find an ant fart in your desk. Please believe it.
The hell? I heard like hearing a gnat fart in Yugoslavia, but a gnat fart in your desk?
Hey,
like, man.
That's what it is.
Oh, jeez.
Listen, I want to give a shout out. I want to talk to my Uncle Bug. I want to say, tell you that I love you, man. I'm never going to forget you. And I'll see you soon one day. We will miss you. We're dedicating this show to you. Uncle Bug, Leon Levert Allen. Rest in peace.